Hello and welcome back to Every Problem. This is Stewart Calculus 8th edition, section 1.1, problem number 59. And for 59, it says to express the area of an equilateral triangle as a function of the length of a side. And so with this problem, we have an equilateral triangle, right? So that means all sides are the same length. And because it says find the area of the length of a side, we can pick any side and we'll get the same answer either way. So that's always a good thing. Now, let's see. In general, the area of a triangle is going to be equal to 1/2 base times height. Okay, well our base is equal to s, so we have part of it done. We have the area equal to 1/2 s times height. But how do we find this height? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to use what's called an altitude. And that's going to be a line that comes down right here from the triangle, and it's going to form a right angle. And this line is our height of, well, some mystery number, right? We don't know what the height is. That's what we have to find. But this line that we drew to bisect the triangle, it's going to give us some new ratios for our triangle. So before we work with that, let's just go ahead and fill in what we have with this triangle. Well, because every triangle needs to add up to 180 degrees, then each angle on the inside is going to be 60 degrees. And it will all be 60 degrees because it's an equilateral triangle. So every angle will be the same because every side is the same length. So if we split the triangle in half up top though, then that 60 degrees will be 30 degrees in each new portion, and that way it adds up to 60. Okay, well, what about this? We've got a right angle, right? So that's 90 degrees, so we do have 90, and 60 here, and 30 here. Good, okay. And now this bottom length here, just of our half triangle, well, if the full length is s and we cut the triangle in half, then that means the length is going to be 1/2 s. And now what I want to do is I want to take, I imagine if we took this part of the triangle and we pulled it out and rotated it out over here, and we now have the triangle like this. Okay? So that means we've got 30 degrees here, 90 degrees, 60 degrees. Side length s, side length 1/2 s, and some mystery thing. Well, we can find that mystery number by using the Pythagorean theorem. So let's go ahead and do that. We have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And, well, let's denote this value as a. We'll have the question mark be b. And s is going to be our c value. So let's go ahead and plug that in. We have 1/2 s squared plus b squared equals s squared, okay? And now we will do a little bit of algebra here. We've got 1/4 s squared plus b squared equals s squared. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 1/4 s squared from both sides. So now we have b squared equals s squared minus 1/4 s squared. Okay? Now to get a common denominator, we're going to have to multiply this s squared by 4/4. Right? Because that's basically 1. It's just written as a fraction. So now we have b squared equals 4s squared over 4 minus 1 over 4s squared. So we'll clean that up a little bit. And now we have b squared equals 3/4 s squared. Okay, now the last part of this is we'll have to be careful with this. So we have to square root both sides to solve for b. And when we do that, well, luckily b, it's simple. We just get b. Well, for b squared, right? Now, here, this 3/4 s squared, because of square root rules, we're going to have to distribute the square root to each term because all the terms are being multiplied. So when they're being multiplied, then they all need to have that square root operation acted upon them. So that means we will have root 3 over root 4 times the square root of s squared. Okay. Now let's see. We have b just b equals, well, square root of 3. That's not a very clean number, so we'll just leave that as the square root of 3. Square root of 4 equals 2. And square root of s squared is just s. So we're left with b to be equal to root 3 over 2s. And if we take a look over here, right, that b value ends up being our height. So all that work and we finally found the height. So I'll erase the question mark. And now we can put in root 3 over 2s. Okay, wonderful. So now we want to be careful that we don't use this 1/2 s in our final answer. We only used that to find the height. In our final answer, we need to find the area, right? And the area is 1/2 base times height. So the base of the whole entire triangle here is going to be s. That's the base. So 1/2 s. Now what's the height? Well, we just solved for that, and that's root 3 over 2s. So we'll go ahead and multiply the s's together, and we have 1/2 s squared times root 3 over 2, and that will give us root 3 over 4 times s squared. And that's our area.